Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and look at this, boy, a 1950 R&B Globe poster tour blank. Just amazing. I've spoken of tour blanks many times before in this blog, and this is one that's not filled in at the top. As you can see, there's the blank white strip up at the top where you put in the city and the ticket price and the venue and so forth like that. So this is, I guess you would call, a blank tour blank, if you will. And of course featuring the big stars Johnny Otis, Little Esther, and Mae Thornton before she was Big Mama. So that's pretty cool. A classic R&B touring review, there's no doubt about it, back at the mid-century mark of the 20th century. And I just love the colors on this, which really make it pop. You've got your bright red and yellow, which just really, sizzle with eye appeal and really make wherever this advertisement was posted, I'm sure that really helped get the message across, no doubt about it. Poster's in darn good shape for its age. It's got a couple of smudges on it, but otherwise it's in really nice shape. So interestingly, I have blogged these four musicians elsewhere here on my video blog, but not in this combination of this four. So I won't be redundant about all their accomplishments and so forth, and you know a lot of that anyway if you tuned in. But Johnny Otis, for heaven's sake, I mean, he had too many talents going on to even list here. He did everything. Producer, arranger, writer, performer, talent scout, just everything. In fact, he was once called at one point in the 50s the king of rock and roll until Elvis came along and took that title. But he more realistically settled into pretty much a career title of the Godfather of Rhythm and Blues, although I think James Brown may have tried to lay claim to that as well. And there's a nice picture of Johnny with his orchestra and barrel house review, as you can see. And Otis is the center guy in the back row, the only white guy in the band. Otis was very much immersed in black culture and worked, I think, well, I don't know if worked exclusively with, but really favored the R&B scene and black musicians. So it's nice to get that. In fact, you have two pictures, don't you, of Johnny Otis, because you've got his face inside the J, and then you have his orchestra with him there off to the right. So it's nice to get a couple pictures of the headliner on any poster. As far as being a talent scout, I mentioned, Johnny Otis, oh my goodness. Well, he discovered, first of all, on this poster, he's credited with finding Little Esther and Big Mama Thornton, and also other discoveries of Otis include Jackie Wilson, Little Willie John, and Hank Ballard of the Midnighters. So he did it all. He wore quite a crown. Now the middle gal here on the poster, Little Esther, oh my gosh, little is right. Would you believe she was 14 years old when this picture was taken? I mean, look at that. Yeah, at this time, that's right, she was 14. And yet it's funny, there's like 7 song titles on there. So you might think, how could she be a veteran at age 14? But in all fairness, those song titles are largely Johnny Otis records, and Little Esther was his vocalist. He very much nurtured her, discovered her, nurtured her, put her in front of the mic and all that stuff. So she has a very distinctive voice. I love it to this day. But, it's very much, in fact, the entire review was very much a Johnny Otis production for sure. Now notice with Esther's song titles, Double Cross and Blues there gets the big play, the other ones are in small print. Well, the reason it got big play is because that thing was #1 for 2 months. Double Cross and Blues, oh my goodness, in early 1950. Interestingly, the record itself, the label of the record says the Johnny Otis Quintet, the Robins, and Little Esther. Interesting. Now, a lot of people, this is a good time, a very good example to point out how this works. A lot of people have asked me, when you have a tour blank with nothing up top, like Friday, June 2nd or something, how can you really date? Couldn't it be any time, a year or two or something like that? Well, here's a very good example. So you've got Little Esther with Johnny Otis and so forth, and notice the Double Crossing Blues is followed by 6 song titles that never hit the charts in any way, shape, or form. Now, Double Crossin' Blues was a #1 smash, as I said, for 2 months in 1950. And then a couple of months later, their next record comes out, and it's called Mistrustin' Blues, and that goes to #1 for a month. So, it just stands to reason, of course, whoever put together the poster, in order to sell tickets and plug the artists and everything else, if this thing was done later in 1950, they would have had Mistrustin' Blues on there and knocked out 1 or more of the just album tracks or singles that didn't chart or whatnot. So that really shows, you have an indicator like that. that really shows that this thing is from early 1950 and not even the summer of 1950. And then you do get to Willie Mae Thornton. My goodness, she was the fourth billed for sure because she didn't have a #1 record yet. She was part of the Hot Harlem Review all through the 1940s, and then she moved to Houston, 1948, and signed to Peacock Records, but not until 1951, the year after this poster. And then in 52, whoo! That was the year she recorded Hound Dog, written by Lieber and Stoller, and that, of course, that record made her a star. Even though she never had another hit and didn't see much money from it, it certainly made her a hit on the R&B circuit and, of course, gave her a permanent place in the pantheons of rock history because she was the very first to record Hound Dog, and you can be sure that #1 record is what Elvis heard and then decided to cover it himself. And of course, you know, the rest for Elvis was history as well. So, but this was before all that. This was 1950, before she signed the Duke Peacock and before she released Hound Dog. So that's why she's bottom billed and there's no Big Mama mention, but it's still great fun to get her on a poster. By the way, that record Hound Dog in 52 that made her a star, that disc was produced by Johnny Otis. That's right, he had his fingers and everything and usually had great results. So, hope you enjoyed seeing the poster today. Great fun to show it to you. A real timepiece from mid-century mark. Wow, 1950 Globe Poster Tour Blank for quite an amazing R&B review. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.